According to the National Center for Drug Abuse, over 165 million Americans ages 12 and up are currently abusing drugs or alcohol. Of those 165 million Americans, there is a mom, dad, sister, brother, wife, husband, son, daughter, or grandparent praying and pleading that they would stop. Addiction is a subject most people don't like to talk about and is kept behind closed doors. But the Finding Hope podcast will bring light to the subject and give families that are living in shame, guilt, hopelessness, fear, worry, and anger tools and education to find strength, peace, happiness, joy, and hope. Hello, I'm Amy LaRue, Finding Hope Coordinator for Hope is Alive Ministries and your host for this Finding Hope podcast. At Hope is Alive, our mission is to radically change the lives of drug addicts, alcoholics, and those who love them. We do this through our intentional next level sober living homes and faith-based support groups for the loved ones of addicts called Finding Hope. Thank you for joining us today. We just wrapped up our first Finding Hope retreat, and what an amazing weekend we had. We're reminded that our tears are not lost, but yet God uses those and redeems our story. It's not too late to join one of our other two retreats in Colorado Springs or Lake Junaluska. You can learn more and register at fhretreat.com. We also have two amazing Hope After Loss retreats left for the year, and you can learn more about those at halretreat.com. But today I'm joined with Miss Darcy again. How are you doing, Darcy?
Good. Doing good.
Great. Beautiful weather out.
Yes.
It's a little windy here.
A little windy.
But the sun, the warm weather, that's my jam.
Me too. I love it. Absolutely love it.
So I'm so excited. Spring's finally arrived,
Yes.
and here we are. And like I said, a few weeks ago, we had our retreat, and we had a great time. So don't forget to sign up.
Right.
Sign up.
Yes.
I can't say that enough.
I know. It was so good.
And those other two retreats, just so people know, they're more than halfway full.
Yeah, they are.
So don't think, I'm going to wait till June or July to sign up.
Right.
You need to sign up right now if you're interested in joining.
Yes, you don't want to miss it.
Absolutely not. So today we're going to be talking about family roles and what that means. And I'm not talking about like a wife or mom or dad or sister, right?
Right.
I mean, we all have those roles that God has given us with our loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
But today we're going to be talking about roles that some of us adapt to, that we take on that we don't even know we're doing it.
Right.
And hopefully then we can get back to the roles that God has created us for, whether that is mom or dad or sister or brother. So we're just going to jump right in. We're going to talk about them. There are 6 different ones we're going to talk about. I think there might be more out there, but we're going to talk about the 6 main ones. And as we're talking about this, I want you guys to know, like, you can cross over.
Right.
So you can maybe have more than one or some characteristics of one and some of the other. And so I want everyone to be thinking about these roles. Which one have you taken on that maybe you need to let go of?
Yeah.
Some of the characteristics as well as how they make that person feel.
That's good.
And as we're talking through this, Darcy, I want people to also think through, okay, which one do I take on? But then also have that empathy for what others are taking on as well.
Yes.
So we're going to just jump right in.
Okay.
And so the first one is the addict. And sometimes this person might be called the focal point of the family.
Right.
And so this person portrays dependent behaviors as they continue to attempt to sustain life in their active addiction. And so I think this one's pretty easy and obvious for us to figure out, but I also don't want to label them that, right? It's someone who struggles with the substances, all of that. But a lot of the characteristics we see are lying, manipulating. We have felt that, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Blaming others, mood swings. Oh my goodness. Yes.
Yes,
High highs and then low lows.
Right.
Anger. Avoidance.
Yes.
Isolating. And we talked about this recently on a podcast, right? The parallel feelings of this, how they go through this and how we sometimes can as well.
Right.
And one other characteristic is they will stop at nothing to supply their need.
Right.
Right. I even think about some of our speakers we had at our retreat, and some of them are in recovery today, and some of the things that they were saying, and what they would do anything and everything to get that fixed, right? Well, I could almost went down a tangent, but we're not going to do that right now. So a lot of times, the addict, the focal point of the family. And we've talked about this in our last one. They feel the shame.
Yeah.
Right? They feel the guilt, the fear, the pain, the hurt, all of those things, which you and I, or those that love someone that struggle, or maybe have lost someone that struggle that's listening today, we don't realize that that's what they're feeling.
Right.
We just see the outside.
Yes.
But to remember, they are feeling those feelings. And a lot of times they're feeling those feelings they don't want to feel. So they will use their substance to cover it.
Absolutely.
Or hide it.
Yep.
Yeah. So what's another one?
So the second one is the scapegoat.
Ooh.
Yes, which also could be called the problem child. This person is usually the middle or the second oldest child, and is usually the one who gets blamed for all of the family's problems, everything that goes wrong. It's always usually them. Eventually, the scapegoat is unable to manage his or her anger and will scout out in avoidance behaviors, often leaving town, not returning. I've seen people who just up and leave and aren't around. Some of their characteristics on the outside that we will see is they're hostile, they're defiant, they're the rule breaker. And then how they're feeling on the inside, which you wouldn't see or know, is they're feeling that rejection and that hurt and the jealousy and the anger.
And sometimes the scapegoat isn't always the one that struggles. It could be.
Right.
Like at my meeting this last week, I had some of our residents sharing, and he was both. What he was describing, he was a scapegoat. He left and didn't talk to anybody, all of that. But it's not always that.
No, just like in my family, with having a loved one, it was definitely our second oldest, and he was the middle child. And I can see all of those characteristics in him and seen him struggle. Like, he is one that would just get up and leave, or he'll go hide, and is the rule breaker and the one that is what had been really defiant as a child. And so you see, growing up, that's that role that he took on, not even knowing that that's what he was doing.
Yeah. And sometimes people, they start to blame that person is why this other person started struggling. And we have to really be careful and cautious at that, that we don't, start blaming people, right? I think that's where, as we're listening to these, I don't want people to think, oh, this is just a way out, because it's not just a way out. I don't want this to be a labeling podcast. Is just to look at what people do take on.
Yes.
That's not ours to take on. And then how do we get back to the true roles that God's created us to be?
Yes. Because even seeing that child in his recovery journey, he's not those things at all.
No.
I mean, he's been on the podcast. And
Yeah, absolutely. So we have the addict, we have the scapegoat, and then we have the family hero, the person that wears that cape, right? They want to be that superhero. I'm going to save the day.
Yeah.
It's the caretaker of the family, right?
Absolutely.
And we all I'm the family hero, right? We all take that on. And, it's the person who devotes their time and attention to covering up the one that struggles, mistakes, and maintaining that everything's okay, that we have a perfect family, right? That everything is normal, right? They're going to cover it up, make everything look beautiful, sunshine and roses, right? And they'll do anything so that people don't see the dysfunctional that's going on, the reality of what's going on. But as you and I know, there's no perfect family out there.
Correct.
We all, whether you love someone that struggles with substances, something else, there's always something going on in every family.
You have to remember that social media is a highlight reel.
That's good. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Don't get...
I know, right?
Oh, I want what they have. Absolutely. In this family hero, I just think, when I think of a hero, you think of the cape. I'm going to save the day, right? High achiever, right? They're high achiever, follow the rules, seeks approval, very reasonable, but over responsible.
Oh, yeah.
over responsible. So when I say that means they're taking on things that's not theirs to take on, right?
Yeah.
Self-sufficient and a perfectionist, right?
Yeah.
And so, but inside, when they take that cape off and you look deep inside them, they have the guilt. They have the hurt. They are anxious, they just, that's that high achieving, like I've got to, perfectionist, stuff's not perfect, I'm going to go make it perfect.
Yeah.
And that anxiousness and the weariness and all of that.
Yeah.
That
absolutely.
brings. So I'm definitely, that's one of my roles I have taken on, and I have to catch myself.
Yes.
Even when I see that happening again.
Oh yeah. Yeah. 'Cause that can become our identity.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, I had that role from a very young age.
Well, and I think we have to remember, like, the family hero isn't a person, it's God.
Right.
He's our hero. Like, we have to remember, like, let him do it only he can do,
so
right?
Yeah.
Like, he is our hero. He is the one who can do all these things, that we think we can do, but we don't have any power. So we have to let go and let God do that.
That's so good. Yeah. Okay, so the next one is the enabler.
Okay.
That's the martyr of the family. This person, again, often covers for the addict's problems and responsibilities and shields them from the consequences of his or her actions. They may even deny that their family member is struggling with addiction, and they will continually make excuses for the addict's behavior. And I know I was probably these two roles.
Yeah, absolutely.
The first one with my mom, the family hero with my mom, and then this one with my ex-husband. And characteristics on the outside are super responsible, sarcastic, passive, physically sick, and then the martyr. And then how they feel on the inside is anger. I know I held in so much anger inside. I felt hurt. I felt guilt, and my self-esteem was super low. So low self-esteem. And I can definitely see myself in that one a lot too.
Absolutely. And, again, people always say, I know I'm enabling.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
As you're saying that, let's switch it. I don't want to be an enabler. I am their mom. I am their wife. Don't label yourself as an enabler. Like, let's switch that and get to the point of, okay, what does it mean to be their mom?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm their mom, a mom to children. So we're in different, I'm in a phase of life where I have a 16, 14, and 9-year-old. That mom looks different than when they'll be adults.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. And so we have to remember, I'm not the enabler. I'm going to be the mom. I'm going to be the wife. I'm going to be the brother or the sister, and thinking about what does that mean? So I'm not taking on this enabling role, to go. And I think they do. I think you're absolutely right. I think the enabler and the family hero, it definitely oversights. Because as the family hero, you're going to do anything to save the day. So you're going to most likely enable,
rescue,
all that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it could be, it's not necessarily always overlapping, but it can be. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
And then we have number 5, the mascot, the family clown, the person who I always think of the person that doesn't like the awkwardness, right?
Yes.
The seriousness, that they use the humor to resolve family drama or to not have that tough conversation, right? I'm going to use this humor as a defense mechanism in order to not have negative emotions, all of that happening. They provide comic relief, right, in situations. It's a defense hiding their pain.
Yes.
And fear, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the mascot is a lot of times it's the baby, the family. Not always, because I'm the baby and I would not say I'm the mascot, but yeah, sometimes it is the family, the youngest. And again, their characteristics on the outside, what the world sees is immature, fragile, cute, hyperactive, and distracting, right?
Yeah.
But again, it goes deeper, right?
Absolutely.
And you'll start hearing how they feel on the inside. A lot of these are all very similar, but it's how we are masking them. We've talked about that a lot on this podcast.
Yeah.
So how they're feeling is that fear. Like, I'm going to throw a joke in here because I'm fearful what this conversation might go or what might happen. But I'm also anxious at the same time of that. They might have some insecurities deep down that they need to work through. That comes from a lot deeper than, we realize.
Yeah.
So, my husband's definitely the mascot, the family clown, all of that. And he would be okay with me saying that on this podcast. But, so yeah, absolutely. We can see that the tension. He's gotten a lot better. Like he's willing to, have those conversations now too, but definitely.
Yeah.
The mascot.
And like I could say my one who was also the, scapegoat is the mascot too, and he's not the youngest either. He's the youngest of the boys.
Interesting.
In the house, but he's not the youngest in the family.
Yeah. So very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the last one?
The last one is the lost child. This is often the one that feels forgotten child. And so this person does not seek or get a lot of attention from other family members, especially when there is somebody that struggles with substances in the family. This person flies under the radar while the other family members play their adopted roles. The lost child stays out of the way, eventually avoids all interactions. They have trouble forming intimate relationships and cope by isolating. And some of those characteristics are they're shy, they're quiet, they're withdrawn, and they isolate. And then how they feel on the inside is they feel rejected, they feel hurt, and they feel anxious. And so I can say this because my daughter and I have talked about this. My oldest daughter is definitely this one. And she's one of the middle children and the oldest of the girls. And so I can remember she asks a lot of questions. Like, what did I do at this age? I don't remember. And one, because her and her brother are only 20 months apart. Yeah. But also addiction was in our family. And I don't remember. And I feel so bad.
Yeah.
So I try to make sure to make her feel like that she's not forgotten.
And sometimes I even hear within our meetings, our Finding Hope meetings, they'll be like, well, because they've trying to rescue and pour all their stuff in the addict, right? That their other children have both.
Yeah, that's right.
They've escaped and they feel forgotten, and so they don't even want to open up to their moms or have a relationship with their parents anymore at this point, because they feel like that forgotten child because everything's been so focused on the one that struggles. And guys, like, give yourselves grace in that, because you don't see yourself shifting in that, It's one of those that just kind of happens because because it comes in and you don't know what to do before you realize there is a bigger problem that more than that what we can handle as humans, right? And so it's not that you meant to do that. It's not that you meant to do that. It's like 2 young kids, 20 months apart. That's a lot. And then throw in addiction on top of that, that's survival.
Oh, absolutely.
That's a lot of times we get into that. So if you're like, oh, this kid is the lost child, I feel horrible, all that, just ask for forgiveness, right? And like, what can you do now to shift it so that child or that, whether they're an adult or a child, doesn't feel like the forgotten child.
Yeah,
absolutely. So as we went through these, I want you guys today to think through, like, which one mostly did you identify with? Whether it might be the one that you are taking on, or even seeing it through another, other lenses for somebody else. How does it feel when you take on this role? So we mentioned the addict, right?
Yeah.
The scapegoat, the family hero, the enabler, the mascot, and the lost child.
Yeah.
So identify these roles, but once you can start to identify it, like Darcy and I have, right? Now you can incorporate new healthy ways so that you can get back to the role that God created you to be, right? Who did He create you to be in this relationship? You and I, He created me to be your friend, right?
Right.
He created me to be that friend. So how do I get back to that?
Yes.
How do I get back with my, loved one to be his wife? What does God call? What does that look like biblically to be his wife? And to think through that. I'm not the savior in this.
Correct.
We have a savior that died on the cross for us. Right. And I can't be my husband's savior.
Right.
And so remembering what does that look like, and like I said earlier, is it's going to look different from when they were a child to when they're an adult.
Oh, absolutely.
And trying to figure out that shift. I mean, I think about, I have one of my, and you have a grandbaby, like that's different too. Like it's, you know, my friend that has young toddlers, like it's completely different set of life than what I'm going through right now.
Yeah.
You know, and so that role as a mom changes over time, or as a dad and all of that. And so just remembering that role that God created you to be. And so just stop and think through it today. Like write them down. Like what role have you taken on? But what has God called you to be, and what does that look like?
Yeah, right. Yeah. And if you have kids, if your loved one is your spouse and you have small kids, or even if they're young adults, I remind my kids all the time to remember they are a kid, and it's okay to just be a kid. Because, you know, as children of those who struggle with substances, they carry different roles. And I have to remind them all the time, it's okay to just be a kid. It's not your job to do this and this and this.
I mean, you're a kid for 18 years only. Like, right? Like, I've been an adult longer than I've been a kid. Right. And so, like, yes, that's so true. And it goes so fast.
It does. Yeah.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to say before we give our challenge for the week?
I don't think so. I mean, it's just really good. Just like you said, remember who God created you to be, and the role that He gave you, not the labels that we try to pick up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to also leave with Psalms 138:8. The Lord will fulfill His purpose for me. Your steadfast love, O Lord, endures forever. Do not forsake the work of your hands. So this week, our challenge is identify what role you have adapted through your loved one's addiction. What does that look like? Write these things down. How can I get back to the role that God has created me to do? And so I want you to think through all those things this next week. And as you start to see maybe you are, then when I feel like I'm shifting back to these roles that aren't mine to take, how do I get back to it? You know, whether that's calling a Finding Hope person, you know, having a time with the Lord, journaling, whatever that might look like, do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, yes, but Darcy and I are here to help support you through that, talk you through. If something you're like, I don't know about this, Amy or Darcy, like let us walk you through this as well.
Yeah.
So thank you guys so much for joining us this week. And you can learn more about Finding Hope at FindingHope.Today. But before you go, we would love for you to give us a 5-star review, share this on social media, and subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss our next hope-filled episode. Thanks again for joining me, Amy LaRue, and our special guest, Darcy Stevens. And remember, you are not alone. It's not your fault. There is hope.